Hi everybody, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface. So this is going to be rather intriguing. I like to use the word interesting. I'm trying to break up the vocabulary. Because just a few weeks ago, Blizzard sent out a bunch of bans, ranging in length from a few days to like 30 odd days or so. And that was because there was an in-game exploit that people were utilizing, and it involved leveling up using some potion. And the way that the potion could stack, you could get yourself a huge amount of EXP boost and level up an extra character. Now, the position that I took on that video was I actually had sympathy with the people who were banned. Why? Because this was a problem that Blizzard themselves created. They didn't QA it properly. They don't seem to QA a lot of things, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not sure if there's a Q&A team left in this game anymore. But they didn't QA it properly. Quality assurance, by the way, if you're not unsure what QA is. And it got put into the game. And when it's a problem that Blizzard themselves have created, I am personally of the belief that they should say, right, stop it, everyone, we know what's going on, stop it, we're going to fix the problem. They fix the problem, they move on. Particularly when it was in regards to leveling up, which at the end of the day doesn't affect the game at all. I mean, it might affect some of the sales of character boosts for Blizzard, because that's ultimately what they want. Maybe that's one of the reasons why leveling's such in a piss poor state. But it might affect a few sales here and there, but ultimately I wouldn't imagine it'd affect the bottom line drastically. So I think they should have just been the bigger people and just said, look, we've put it out. We didn't test it properly. Our bad. Stop it. We're going to fix it. And just leave it. If they really wanted to be bad, not a good use word. If they really wanted to be dicks, maybe revert the changings. You know, revert the changes on some of the characters if they're able to identify it. But ultimately, banning the people I thought was really harsh. Now, I know some people have just taken a very black and white stance on this. They broke the rules, they should get banned, whatever. But I don't think it is a black and white situation. I think it's very much a shade of grey situation because it was a situation that Blizzard themselves created. It wasn't a position like we're going to discuss today where it's actually other people creating the issue. Not necessarily a problem, but the issue. And so, it's come out that Blizzard have started to ban modders. People that actually change the World of Warcraft game files, the live game files, and they're banning them for a significant amount of time. We're talking 6 months here. 6 months are these bans. Now, to kind of go into what the vast majority of these modders are doing, they're actually making tweaks and changes to the actual character models, things which they don't like or things that they think could be better. And it's quite big in the RP community because they like to change some of the models to look a little more voluptuous. A little bit of junk in the trunk and a little bit of bitty on the you get the drift. So they kind of do these sort of things here. I've taken this image from Yasmin Chaos X's video of her dream of sexy World of Warcraft mods. I'll link it in the description box down below should you wish to have a look-see. But that seems to be what the vast majority of the people are doing. It seems innocuous enough. However, it is an interference on the live game files. Now, if they were just doing things like this on their own private servers and stuff like that, no problem. No problem whatsoever. And people have done some pretty extreme mods with the World of Warcraft, some really kind of like fun ones as well, where they've taken characters from Heroes of the Storm and put them into the game itself. And the texture models are really high res and they look fantastic. They've also put like cars, various cars into the World of Warcraft and stuff like this, and they've tweaked costumes and whatnot, and they do look great, they do look fun, and I don't have an issue with this whatsoever if it's done on your own private server and away from the game. It's when you start to interfere with the game files itself, because it's all well and good saying, well, it's just aesthetic. It's just an aesthetic change. It doesn't change the game. It doesn't break the game at all. It doesn't make us more powerful. It doesn't make people weaker, yada, yada, yada. That's all well and good saying that. But the fact of the matter is that you have gone in and interfered with the game files and you have breached TOS. Simple as that. You have gone against the TOS. So it's all well and good saying, where's the warning or whatever it is. The warning is reading the TOS and being aware of the TOS. So this is where I differ from the previous bannings, the previous recent bannings, where it was an issue that was brought about by Blizzard themselves. Not testing something properly, putting it into the game, and people were taking advantage of a situation that Blizzard introduced. They weren't affecting the game files. They weren't manipulating or modifying the game files in any shape, way, or form. All that they were doing was breaking the stacks of the potion into individuals and then chugging them down so they stacked in-game. That was a QA issue with World of Warcraft. Here, when you're going into the game files themselves, interfering with the game files themselves and adapting the game file themselves for whatever reason, whether it be aesthetic or to cheat, because this is how a lot of people do actually cheat in the game with things like fishing mods and stuff like that. I have never used third-party software in the World of Warcraft. I'm not a believer of it personally. I do have a friend who has used third-party mods, and they've used third-party mods like fishing mods. And I understand. I don't agree with them, but I understand why they do it, because they're just like, look, fishing's just so dull. It's just so boring. You know, why should I just sit here, just waiting for the bob and then click the bob? It's just such a boring experience. I get that. I think fishing is something in the World of Warcraft that needs to be drastically altered and turned into a fun mini-game. Get rid of it as a profession. Turn it into a fun mini-game. There's things that you can do with fishing. There have been RPGs that have been out since the 90s that have better fishing than the World of Warcraft. And it's really, really sad, because it doesn't look like it's something that would be drastically difficult to alter and change and make to be a little bit of fun. But this is how third-party softwares that do manipulate the game can also be introduced. So by the looks of it, maybe Blizzard have identified a particular launcher or software or whatever it may be that people are using, and they are using a blanket ban. So regardless of whether or not you're using it to manipulate the game, or whether or not you're using it to put a little bit more junk in the trunk, or whatever it may be, you are all receiving the same type of ban. Now, 6 months is a pretty steep period of time. It is half a year after all. What I do find a wee bit cynical, I might be off here, I might not. But do you notice that this ban has come very soon after the 6-month period of the offer that they had, where you got the dread ship, when that's run out, and now the dread ship itself has gone onto the cash shop. Now that the 6 months has expired, it's just gone immediately onto the cash shop, and then suddenly we have this substantial wave of bans. Whereas the previous bans ranged from, like I said, a few days up to 30 days. And did involve thousands upon thousands of people. This has involved less people by the looks of it, but 6 months worth. So, there might be a little bit of something there. There might not. It could all just be legitimately coincidental. But 6 months is a hefty period of time. You can appeal it, obviously, should you deem that you've been unfairly treated. But at the end of the day, you have broken TOS. You have gone into the game files and you have manipulated the game files, and that is something which I do very much agree with Blizzard on here, that action should be taken. Because just because you as a person may not agree with the way that something looks, just because you as a person may want to have additional bounce or additional whatever it may be, doesn't make you right. and it doesn't justify why you've done it. Sure, there are plenty of armors and tweaks to character models that could be made in the game for various models, but ultimately that is for people to give feedback on, and then Blizzard to make a decision at the end of the day whether or not they decide to tweak or change things. So I'm actually going to go with the philosophy of they knew what they were doing, and they very much knew that they were interfering with game files and interfering with something which could affect the game detrimentally, and I think they've got what they deserve. 6 months may sound harsh. Maybe it is a little bit harsh. Maybe 3 would have been sufficient, but I think Blizzard are really trying to send a message saying no interfering with the game files whatsoever, and they are totally justified in their right to do that. So yeah, if you're one of these people that have been caught up because you have been manipulating it for whatever reason, whether it be that you have got naughty mods on, or you've just put some aesthetic changes on because you want characters to look nicer, armors to look nicer, or whatever, you have interfered with the files, I'm afraid, and you have breached TOS, and it is TS. Tough shit. So I hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do give it a thumbs up, and also subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media and Twitch for live streaming. Links, they're in the description box down below. I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care. Bye for now.